Hello babes, here I am, ready to give you guys another message. I don't choose the messages. Believe me, I would rather just drink tea and garden in my pajamas and forget about the rest of the world. But my soul will turn me inside out if I do not take action and share what I've learnt with you guys and what comes through me as a message for you guys. So I'll show up for those who choose to listen. Okay, so I've got a few random things to chat about today, but good opening points to build on. Okay, so consciousness is expanding. It's like we're cordial and there is water being added, and little bit by little bit at a time we are expanding. And as this happens, when the water hits us, all that doesn't resonate with our soul, with our future, specifically our social conditioning or ego structure, is being pushed up to the surface to be released. And it's a painful process, but that's what it is, to become self-aware and to awaken in a spiritual sense. Got a little diagram for you guys again. So up here we are closer to our higher self, closer to God. Down here, just ego programming, just very dense matter with not much spiritual awareness at all. So our beliefs act as blinders in this realm, or as ceilings to bust through. So we can only perceive what we are willing to believe in, for real. So that doesn't mean that a collective reality does not exist. It most certainly does. It just means that some of us that are here can perceive more than others. And this doesn't make them better than anybody else. It just makes them different, with different abilities. It also doesn't mean that these people have abandoned the scientific method, which is commonly touted. It means they have expanded upon it. It means that they have an understanding of spiritual science as well as material science. So at school and throughout university, they teach us to focus solely on Newtonian physics, which is what we can perceive with our first 5 senses, and exclude everything else. However, it doesn't take much dabbling in quantum physics to start seeing the undeniable evidence that the unseen is just as measurable and quantitative in experiments as the seen. Below, I will link to an exceptional documentary as a first step to understanding the human body and epigenetics from a quantum perspective. Also understanding the brain and how our perceptions work alongside our beliefs. Very good to understand during these times. It is not simply air that surrounds us. It is energetic information. This is a huge belief barrier to move through, and it will move you from this victim consciousness into understanding that you, yes, you are a little bit in control of what you are creating. You have to awaken to your control to learn how to control it, of course, but you do have a hand in what's being created in your life. You're not simply a victim. So during these strange and unsettling times, in our collective reality, most of us are experiencing some sort of deep crisis of meaning within our lives. It makes perfect sense that we would go spiritually seeking. When we begin to awaken, we are mentally, emotionally, and psychologically vulnerable. And it's scary. Most of us have some sort of suppressed trauma that might be keeping us stuck in flight or freeze or fawn, desperately wishing for this pain to end. It is easy to be led into sets of beliefs that make us feel good and give us relief from the despair, rather than move through some of the yucky feelings and hard truths. It's also easy to do what we've been trained to do, which is go to the GP and jump on the meds train. Now, I'm not shaming anybody who's done that, because I was definitely there too, and I needed it at that time. It was an important step. It was the step that said, I'm going to care about how I feel, which was better than where I had been. Please consider it a step you are taking towards better mental health and not signing up for a lifelong prescription of meds, okay? Because they numb us out and they cloud our vision. And don't forget, the doctors get paid to hook you up onto these meds. They get cruises and all sorts of shit given to them for signing you up for these meds. So please don't make it your long-term solution. Okay? I'm saying that with love. So the colonizers, or the elites, or reptilians, or whatever you wish to call these beings that believe that they are in charge, have very strategically infiltrated all of our original truths and teachings and stuffed seeds of confusion in there. So the New Age especially is riddled with these beliefs that will keep us paralyzed and looping where we need to elevate and expand. There are truths in our society that we don't want to look at because they're really ugly. They're really ugly. And we've been programmed that bad is bad, bad feelings are bad, and we don't want to have them. So we keep on turning a blind eye and ignoring them. The problem is when we do that, they grow bigger. Not only do they grow bigger, they fester. They become more and more problematic. We're being asked to look at a lot of this stuff now in our own lives as well as the collective. And once we begin to do that, we can begin to move into a better place. I'd just like to share with you now a few things that I've gained clarity on looking back, because it might help you. If you're going through what I went through a few years ago, this might help you, okay? That's all I want to do. Help. For a while, I was defining a psy-op as anything that kept me in separation consciousness. But that, in fact, led me to a lot of inaction when I definitely should have been taking action, and I definitely should have been using my voice. So, I now define a psy-op as anything that prevents me from seeing or acting in an expanded perspective. We are programmed by a great many layering of psychological operations. And by choosing to go down rabbit holes and expand our perception of what we thought reality was, As we accept new truths about our realm, we deprogram ourselves. We allow consciousness to expand. We ourselves can see more. And it's terrifying at first. But once we learn to move through those yucky emotions, we are likely to feel the desire to create more and to create better, to create in harmony with ourselves and nature. So personally, I have made a huge mistake in my awakening in following the wrong teaching and putting the voices of others above my own inner knowing. So again, no shame. Awakening is a really difficult journey. Some of the most persistent psy-ops lie in the collective belief systems. Things that are the most outrageous lies, but somehow, as a group, we are agreeing that they are real and we continue to perpetuate them in our life and in the lives of our children. The moon landing, for instance. It's in the non-fiction section of the library. It's on the TV. It's talked about by everyone important. They teach it to us in the kids' programs and at school. Therefore, it must be real, right? It must be the truth. So they teach us that the moon is a rock orbiting the Earth, and the shadow on the moon is caused by the Earth. The sun casts a shadow via the Earth onto the moon, and that is what we see when we look at it. So how many of us have looked up and seen the moon and the sun in the sky at the same time? If I take a spherical object and I get a torch and shine a light on it, how does the light look? You'll see that it's concentrated in one spot and then it disperses as it moves around the spherical object. Have you guys seen the full moon? That thing is lit up. It is bright. It is emanating light. They teach us that the moon is a rock, a solid object. But what kind of rock goes see-through? You see the sky there? Does that look like a rock to you? I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but I think it is time that we use our God-given intelligence and start admitting that we've been lied to on mass proportions for a very, very long time. We degrade our souls when we allow these lies to live. It's also a disgrace to God. Again, there is no shame here. No shame put on us for believing what we were taught and in our innocence believed. We're all victims to the villains who have done this, but we can choose to become victors at any time when we learn to trust ourselves over what we've been taught. These beings have infiltrated our societies and kept us under mind control. And they have done so because we are a species that can affect reality through our thoughts and emotions. They don't have this power. Let me say that again. They don't have this power. The power to co-create reality. We are more powerful than them. And so they keep us focused externally and keep us in as much fear as possible. They've taught us to play their games. And if we want to win against them, we're going to have to not play their games. We're going to have to politely decline to play those games. And instead, we should be inventing our own. When we begin spiritually seeking, people will journey back in time to learn from the greats. Buddha, Jesus, etc., etc. All masters of their time, all with a lot to teach us, wonderful things to teach us. However, what is not often discussed is that each epoch of time has a spiritual teaching suited only to that time. For instance, people highly rate the Eastern teachings and philosophy. However, in this tradition, there is almost always a teacher sitting between the student and God. We're living in a time where we do not need a middleman to show us the way. We must go deeply inward and learn to listen and trust ourselves. We are already coded with all of the necessary information we need to succeed. And that is a beautiful secret of our current time. Just think about that for a moment. You have everything you need within you. So, it's worth noting too that whomever you are listening to, myself included, is dragging you through their own distortions and perceptions. We are living in a time where we must develop our own perspectives and trust in them. Trusting ourselves above everything else ought to be the new religion. There is a most important lesson to be learned when we discover that we have been following the wrong teaching. And that is that we now know what that feels like. And then from there, we can have a better understanding of what the truth feels like for us. Your soul knows the best way for you to awaken. So develop your faith and have trust. Some teachings will tell us that we just came here to be. I don't buy that. How can we make sense of all the turmoil that we have to face by just being? I believe that we came here for the experience and to develop. We are here to develop our I, our individuality, our unique soul expression through the adversity that we face during our time here. I believe that there is a divine idea behind you and that we didn't come from flipping monkeys. No! You are an individual and you are important. We did not come here to walk lockstep, following those stupid, degrading rules and playing Simon Says. We've created a prison for ourselves to live in. Look around. It's paradise. And whether you believe that these lower beings have hijacked our consciousness or not, you must admit we've turned it into a prison. We came here to co-create with the Most High and to express our authenticity. And most of all, we came here to play. So go have fun in the realm today, babes. I know I will. Until next time.